It started like any normal morning. I walked into the office expecting my usual greetings, coffee, and small talk. But something felt off. People avoided eye contact. Whispers stopped abruptly as I passed, and the atmosphere seemed heavy, almost tense. My heart sank when my manager called me into his office. His expression was serious, uncomfortable, almost guilty. "There are rumors about you," he said slowly, as if the words themselves pained him to speak. "People are saying you've been taking credit for others' work and manipulating the team." I froze. My mind raced. I had always prided myself on my integrity. I had never done anything to deserve such accusations. And yet the fear wasn't about what they said, it was about who said it. My suspicion immediately fell on Alina, the new team member who always watched a little too closely, smiled a little too brightly, and asked too many questions about my tasks. Her ambition had always been obvious, but this was a direct attack. The worst part was the immediate isolation. Colleagues avoided me, refrained from sharing ideas, and whispered behind closed doors. The silence was deafening. But amidst the shock and confusion, a strange calm settled inside me. Panic wouldn't solve anything. Reacting impulsively would only play into her hands. I knew I had to observe, gather evidence, and plan. Someone was trying to destroy my career, my reputation, and my confidence. And I decided then, silently, that I wouldn't let her win. That day, as I left the office, the sun felt dimmer. The world seemed heavier. But deep down, a spark ignited. She had made a move, but I was ready to respond, carefully, strategically. And when the time came, she wouldn't just see the truth. I would make sure everyone did. Once I realized Alina was behind the rumors, I began observing her every move. Her actions were subtle, yet calculated. She asked colleagues about my projects, laughed at remarks designed to cast me in a negative light, and always ensured she was in the right place at the right time to plant seeds of doubt. Her charm masked her ambition perfectly. She played the innocent observer, the helpful team member, while slowly constructing a false narrative that painted me as manipulative, greedy, and untrustworthy. During meetings, I noticed her subtle gestures, the overly polite questions about my work, the sympathetic nods when others criticized me, and the knowing glances she exchanged with certain colleagues. She had perfected a web of deception. At lunch, I overheard whispers confirming my fears. Someone mentioned I had taken credit for others' work. The shock wasn't in the accusation, it was that people believed it without evidence. But in her overconfidence lay her weakness. While everyone else saw only the performance, I noticed inconsistencies. Small mistakes in her achievements, borrowed phrases from my reports, and timelines that didn't match her story. I realized she had built her lies on my work, not her own. Every detail she thought hidden could be traced back to me. That night, I reviewed my work and collected digital timestamps, drafts, and emails. Every piece of evidence that proved her actions were deliberate was now organized. I wasn't angry, yet Tanger is unpredictable but focused, strategic, and ready. She thought she had the advantage, but she underestimated my patience. The game had shifted. From that point, I understood one truth clearly. To beat someone who wants to destroy you, you must first observe, gather evidence, and wait for the perfect moment. And that moment was coming. One of the harshest realities hit me when I realized my friends at work began to distance themselves. People I had trusted, collaborated with, and celebrated successes with now avoided me. Their reactions weren't malice, they were fear. Fear of being associated with someone whom rumors had already tainted. 2 colleagues made urgent calls just as I approached their table. Another offered a weak, guilty smile that barely hid discomfort. The isolation hurt more than the lies. I questioned myself, had I unknowingly hurt someone? Did my actions deserve this? But deep down, I knew the truth. I hadn't done anything wrong. I was being betrayed by one person's envy and ambition, and the others were simply following the path of least resistance. It wasn't loyalty, they were protecting themselves. That night, I sat alone thinking about the situation. I could fight the rumors directly, confront her angrily, or leave the job altogether. But none of those options would restore what was mine: my reputation, my credibility, my dignity. The only solution was strategy, patience, and evidence. I couldn't just defend myself verbally. I needed proof that would leave no room for doubt. I reviewed my records and realized something crucial. Alina had underestimated me. She thought my silence and calmness were signs of weakness. She didn't know I had meticulously saved drafts, emails, and work logs. Every file she tried to claim as her own had my fingerprints timestamped and undeniable. From that point, loneliness wasn't discouraging, it was empowering. I would use the quiet hours to prepare. I wouldn't react in haste. Instead, I would let her arrogance lead her into a trap of her own making. And so, the decision was clear. I wouldn't just reclaim my reputation, I would expose the truth in a way that left no doubt. Her plan would collapse spectacularly. And I would rise stronger than before. Observing Alina closely over the next week revealed her motive. It wasn't just jealousy, it was ambition. She wanted my promotion, the recognition, the spotlight I had earned. Every question she asked, every helpful suggestion she made, was part of a larger scheme to discredit me and elevate herself. She believed that destroying my credibility was the easiest path to success. I found proof when I stumbled upon shared files showing her copying my work almost word for word, removing my name and preparing to present it as her own. It was blatant, careless plagiarism. Yet she remained confident, believing no one would notice. I also discovered messages she had sent bragging about her plan to undermine me. The combination of arrogance and oversight made her mistakes easy to trace. My initial shock was replaced by clarity. I didn't need to rush. Her overconfidence was her vulnerability. I began organizing my evidence, drafts, timestamps, chat logs, and the stolen files side by side. The picture was undeniable. Each piece connected to the next, forming a chain of truth. I realized the importance of timing. Any premature move could alert her, allowing her to cover her tracks. But the upcoming meeting where she intended to present the project she stole offered the perfect stage. It would expose her lies to the people she aimed to impress. I spent the following nights refining my plan. I visualized every step, how I would reveal the evidence, the order of slides, the words I would speak. My goal wasn't to humiliate her out of spite, was to restore balance and reclaim what was mine. By the time the meeting approached, I wasn't anxious. I was calm, prepared, and focused. Every detail I needed was ready, and every potential objection anticipated. She had built her house of cards, and soon it would collapse under its own weight. As the day of the meeting approached, the office buzzed with anticipation, everyone eager to see Alina shine. She rehearsed her presentation meticulously, adjusting her slides, practicing her tone, and perfecting her smile. Every movement radiated confidence, arrogance even. She believed victory was hers. I watched quietly, unnoticed, as her preparation revealed both skill and vulnerability. Meanwhile, I refined my evidence. I divided it into 3 sections. My original work with timestamps, her copied work side by side, and her messages exposing intent. The clarity was undeniable. She could talk, plead, or manipulate, but the facts couldn't be argued. Even my manager seemed uneasy, caught between supporting his rising star and confronting the truth. I remained silent, letting him believe I was defeated. The calm before the storm was perfect. The night before, I visualized the meeting in detail. Every word, every slide, every reaction anticipated. I knew that timing and presentation were everything. My plan wasn't revenge, was proof. Proof of my integrity, my patience, and her manipulation. On the morning of the presentation, I entered early, arranged my materials, and sat quietly. Colleagues whispered about her expected success, oblivious to the truth. She walked in with a triumphant smile, fully confident. Every eye followed her. Every expectation favored her. As she began speaking, her voice projected authority. She presented my work as her own, elaborated on analyses I had conducted, and took credit for ideas I had developed. The audacity was almost impressive, if it weren't infuriating. But beneath her calm exterior, I saw cracks. Minor errors, repeated phrases from my drafts, and overlooked details. Her overconfidence was a clear sign. She was ripe for exposure. The moment had arrived, and I was ready to take it. When Alina reached the climax of her presentation, I finally stood. Silence fell instantly. Everyone turned to me confused. I connected my laptop to the screen and displayed the first slide to documents side by side, one with my name, one with hers. Identical content, identical structure, identical errors. A ripple of shock ran through the room. Her confident smile faltered. "What is this?" she whispered, panic creeping into her voice. I spoke calmly, clearly, without anger. "This project is mine. Every chart, every line, every analysis belongs to me. I have drafts, timestamps, and email logs proving this. The copies you presented were stolen." The next slides revealed messages where she admitted her plan to undermine me, and side-by-side comparisons of my work versus hers. The evidence was irrefutable. Colleagues leaned forward, whispers spreading. My manager's face turned pale. Alina stammered, attempting excuses about collaboration and miscommunication. But her words crumbled under the weight of proof. I didn't need to raise my voice. The truth spoke for itself. The arrogance she relied upon became her undoing. Finally, the department head addressed her. "Alina, this is a serious ethical violation. You will need to answer for these actions." She could not argue. She could not deny. Her plan had collapsed. I sat down, calm and composed. The silence lingered for a moment, then murmurs of disbelief and relief began circulating among the team. My reputation was restored. The truth was visible to everyone. In that instant, I realized something profound. Victory isn't always loud. Sometimes it's measured, deliberate, and undeniable. And when it comes, no lie can survive its light. Alina's attempt to escape responsibility failed. Later that afternoon, management called a private meeting. She arrived desperate and pale. Tears and excuses flowed, but her words could not undo the damage. Every argument she offered crumbled under the evidence I presented. "I didn't mean to misrepresent," she said shakily. "It was a mistake." Pressure is not an excuse for intentional harm. Her pleas were for pity, not justice. My manager remained firm. "Your actions were deliberate and unethical. There is no room for negotiation." She tried one final attempt to appeal to me, begging me to intervene, to forgive, to settle quietly. I refused. My response was calm. "You created this situation. You will face the consequences." The department head confirmed her termination. She collected her belongings silently, her confidence replaced by shame. Watching her leave was surreal. It wasn't satisfaction, it was closure. In the hours that followed, colleagues cautiously approached me. Apologies were offered, congratulations shared, and respect restored. Rumors reversed, her lies exposed to everyone. The office atmosphere shifted from tension to clarity. It wasn't instant validation that mattered, it was justice, measured and fair. People understood the difference between appearance and truth. The lesson was clear. Integrity endures and deception collapses. I reflected quietly on what had occurred. The pain, the isolation, the betrayal, they were temporary. The lessons, the strength gained, and the restored reputation would last. More importantly, I realized something fundamental: standing firm. Gathering evidence and acting strategically is more powerful than immediate reaction. And in this truth, I found not just vindication, but peace. After the storm, rebuilding my reputation became my focus. I didn't seek sympathy. I sought action. I threw myself into projects, collaborated openly, and allowed results to speak louder than any words. Gradually, colleagues who had doubted me began to respect my expertise and dedication. My manager acknowledged my professionalism, scheduling regular check-ins and appreciating my approach during the crisis. The team began seeking my advice, valuing my insights, and listening to my direction. Slowly, whispers of doubt were replaced with recognition and trust. A few weeks later, the company publicly acknowledged my contribution during a team meeting. My handling of the situation became a subtle example of integrity and resilience without naming individuals. I didn't need attention, I needed fairness restored, and that had been achieved. This process reminded me that reputation is earned through consistency, not rushed defense. Actions reinforce trust far more than arguments or explanations. I also realized that personal growth comes from challenges. The betrayal that once threatened to break me had now shaped me into someone stronger, more cautious, and wiser. By reclaiming my position professionally, I reclaimed my confidence personally. Every success, every recognition reinforced the truth of my character. And slowly, the lingering fear from the rumors dissolved. More importantly, I learned to value allies, like Rima, who supported truth even quietly. Real support doesn't always make noise. It appears at the right moment, and in my case, it made a difference. Through all this, I understood resilience isn't just surviving adversity. It's transforming it into a platform to rise higher than before. And step by step, day by day, I restored both my name and my belief in justice. Weeks after the incident, a surprise came. My manager called me into his office with a warm smile and congratulated me on my professional handling of the situation. He offered me the team lead position I had been aiming for, ironically, the same role Alina had attempted to claim through deception. Accepting the promotion was not about triumphing over hurt, was about integrity winning where lies had failed. This title symbolized more than authority. It represented justice, patience, and strategic action. When the announcement went company-wide, colleagues congratulated me. Some who had doubted me apologized. Rima smiled proudly, signaling that fairness had prevailed. I recognized that leadership isn't about position alone. It's about fostering an environment where honesty, effort, and merit matter. I carried no bitterness toward Alina. Her actions reflected her choices, not mine. I realized that people will act selfishly, but integrity ensures long-term success. The promotion wasn't just recognition, was affirmation that truth prevails when backed by evidence and calm determination. In my role as team lead, I committed to building a workplace where trust is valued, merit is recognized, and fairness outweighs rumor. The lesson I had learned firsthand became a guiding principle for my leadership. Most importantly, I internalized the resilience I had cultivated. Betrayal had tested me, but it hadn't broken me. Instead, it refined my character, strengthened my patience, and reaffirmed the power of truth. And while my journey had been painful, it ended with clarity, empowerment, and renewed purpose. Looking back, the experience taught me lessons I will never forget. Betrayal is painful, but it doesn't define you. How you respond does. People will lie, manipulate, and attempt to dim your light. But your integrity, patience, and focus reveal your true strength. I learned that silence and observation are sometimes more powerful than immediate reaction. Collect evidence, act strategically, and maintain calm. These are tools for overcoming deceit. Quick anger only feeds the liar. Thoughtful action secures victory. I also realized that not everyone who smiles at you is a friend. Envy often hides behind politeness, ambition behind kindness. Recognize genuine allies, those who uphold fairness even quietly, and value them. They are rare, but crucial. Finally, I discovered that resilience isn't just enduring adversities, using it as a catalyst for growth. My reputation, initially threatened, was restored not by confrontation alone, but by deliberate, measured action. My promotion was a bonus. The true reward was regained self-respect and strengthened confidence. To anyone facing betrayal, hold firm. Document, observe, and act with precision. Don't waste energy on anger. Let evidence and truth do the work. People may doubt you temporarily, but integrity always prevails. Betrayal can't destroy your character, can only reveal it. And if you respond wisely, it can elevate you higher than you ever imagined. My story didn't end in defeat, ended in justice, growth, and empowerment. And yours can too.